Welcome to our special coverage on Operation Sindoor and the escalating tension between India and Pakistan. The Indian Army said that it spotted multiple drone attacks by the Pakistan Army overnight, which were targeted at military stations at Jammu, Pathankot and Udhampur. The Army said that Pakistan also resorted to numerous ceasefire violations along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir. At least 45 drones were taken down by the Indian air defence system at various places between Ladakh and Bhuj. As per the Army, drone attacks were effectively repulsed and befitting replies were given. Sources in the Border Security Force said they foiled a major infiltration bid in Jammu and Kashmir, Samba, and killed at least 7 Pakistani terrorists. The Pakistani post of Dhandar also suffered extensive damage. Heavy shelling was reported in several districts of Jammu and Kashmir. The unprovoked firing by Pakistan left a trail of destruction in the border towns, with several houses and cars being destroyed in the border towns and villages. Let's keep in mind that the government has urged all media, digital platforms and individuals to refrain from real-time reporting on defence operations and movement of security forces. Ishan Vani sent us this report from Uri.
This is what remains of a shop which was on Uri Road, and this is the trail of destruction that it has left and brought with itself. Pakistan fired multiple shells at different locations, and some of them have landed in the civilian population, resulting in damage like this. The complete shop has been destroyed. You will still notice here there are shampoo pouches and soap also lying around, which the person used to sell here. And most of the stuff is not recognizable because of the impact that it has had on this particular shop. And you will also notice the shop adjacent to it has also suffered heavily because of the shelling by Pakistan. This is a safe where money is kept, and this is completely bent because of the impact that it has had, and rest of the part is unknown where it went. There's destruction that's lying all around the place, and what we have been told is that the shelling took place at night after 9 o'clock, and then it got a little intense, and it has been intense during the night time, which is resulting in a lot of panic among residents.
Joining us now to take this forward, our Lieutenant Colonel Subrata Saha. He was also the former Deputy Chief of Army Staff. Lieutenant Colonel Shubhankar Mishra is also with us. Let me go across to Lieutenant General Saha first. Lieutenant General Saha, I'd also like to welcome Ashok Sajjanhar, former ambassador, joining us. Lieutenant Colonel Saha, let me begin by asking you about the operation, about Operation Sindoor. At this stage, after what Pakistan did across the border, do you think Pakistan's offensive is now over?
Well, it's very difficult to forecast whether Pakistan's offensive is over or not, because Pakistan, as you can see, has achieved nothing. They carried out that horrific attack against those unarmed civilians in Pahalgam. They have been carrying out this intensive firing from across the line of control against innocent civilians. Your reporter has just shown the situation from near Uri, where we lost, I think, a lady just a little while back in this firing. And across the line of control, there have been more than, I think, almost 15 fatalities that have taken place, plus a number of people have been injured. So there are serious casualties which are happening over there because of the intensity of firing, which is there all along the line of control. You have just reported, the number of drone and missile attacks that have taken place all the way from Jammu and Kashmir right down to Gujarat. Right? And none of these have had any impact whatsoever in the face of the air defense systems of the country. So clearly they have achieved nothing. So what are they now trying? It's very evident from the attempt of this large scale infiltration that they have tried in the Samba sector, which BSF has very successfully foiled. A group of almost, I think, 6 to 7 terrorists have been killed. So this is what now they are switching back to what they think they are good at, infiltrating terrorists from across the IBs or the line of control. So they are back to that, old trick. So to say that it's all over, I don't see that, because Munir was very delusional when he thought that he is going to be able to shift the attention away of his country from the state of affairs, whether it is in Balochistan, against the military operations that they were carrying out against Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, or for that matter, the political divide within Pakistan between the supporters, his own supporters, i.e. Shehbaz Sharif's supporters and those of Imran Khan, by carrying out this attack. On the contrary, he has got into a horrible mess now and he does not know how to get out of it. So unless they listen to some sane advice from some friendly nations, and we've had, both the ministers from Iran and Saudi Arabia traveling to and fro, unless they are able to put in some good sense into the leadership in Pakistan, I don't see how they can get out of this mess and climb down, because as far as the US is concerned, they have told them quite categorically. I think the Secretary of State has tweeted that he has spoken to Shehbaz Sharif
Right.
to de-escalate. Whether Shehbaz Sharif is able to impress that, convince himself, and be impressed that upon his army chief is a big question mark, because
All right. Lieutenant
Munir is
Saha?
not known to be listening to the Prime Minister anyway.
Right. I'm going to come back to you, sir. Some very important points and questions raised by you. Lieutenant Colonel Mishra, will Pakistan stop now? Or do you think they will continue fighting, they will continue hitting Indian targets?
Parikshit, good evening to you and all the fellow panelists. See, Pakistan has got a typical problem of not believing the facts which are clearly kept open on the table. Pakistan, despite being seventh in the size and economy and everything being inferior, they always think that they are comparable. Not only comparable, they are better than us. So the basic problem of Pakistan is that if you remember, on 16th April, General Munir gave a statement, gave a speech rather, that India and Pakistan, they are two different nations. And Pakistan is born basically due to Kalma, and it's a country which is created by Allah. They don't realize that it's a country which is an artificial creation and it's going to disintegrate on its own weight. Now, however, since the question of yours is very categorical that whether Pakistan will stop now, I don't think that it will stop. Pakistan is a habitual offender. You take it in you can take it in every possibility that Pakistan will again do something which will be detrimental to its own health. We may not suffer, but Pakistan will definitely get a massive jolt this time. And but I'm very sure that they will not realize their follies and they will not realize their mistakes. And as General Saha rightly brought out, that it's a calculation which has gone wrong by General Munir, and hopefully the good sense prevails by the advices of Iranian and Saudi ministers. Let's hope for the best. In case they don't realize it, it's going to be very costly for them.
Right. Let me get in Ambassador Sajjanhar at this point. Ambassador Sajjanhar, we had a very strong press conference by the Foreign Secretary yesterday where he held up a photograph of Hafiz Osaf Saeed at the funeral of terrorists, where the Pakistani army was also there. It was almost looking like a ceremonial funeral for terrorists. We were trying to expose the world. Simultaneously, you had our foreign envoys. I haven't seen that very often in the past, but we saw Vinay Quatra, India's ambassador to the United States, going to Fox News, giving an interview on what has happened on the line of control and the international border. Mr. Doraiswamy, the Indian ambassador to UK, also giving an interview to Sky News. Do you feel that India now is working on a multi-pronged strategy and also an information warfare strategy to make sure that we win this war in the long term?
Yes, thank you very much, Parikshit. You are right. I think right from the word go, on 22nd April, these dastardly attacks happened. And on the 23rd, you would have seen, after the Cabinet Committee on Security, we had a number of decisions that were taken, number of initiatives that were taken. And of course, the country was asking for, was really baying for kinetic action, military action as far as India is concerned, retribution to Pakistan for this dastardly attack. But, it was a multi-pronged strategy right from then onwards. And you would see that, the main part of that was to keep the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance. I think that is so significant. And, that is such a huge blow that we really need to recognize it as such, because that is going to have not only a short-term, medium-term, but a long-term impact as far as Pakistan is concerned. And I think it also needs to be kept in mind, Parikshit, that after 1960, when this treaty was signed, we have had so many multiple wars, we have had multiple conflicts, and we have had multiple times that Pakistan has intruded into our territory. On 26/11, that was the huge attack launched by 10 of its terrorists in India. But even then, we did not take the decision to abrogate or suspend or put in abeyance the Indus Waters Treaty. But this time we have done, and the impact is going to be felt very soon, because this is also the sowing season. India has said that we are not going to be sending water from our dams, Salar dams, and the Baglihar Dam, etc. So the point I want to make is that it has been an across-the-board, multi-pronged approach as far as Pakistan is concerned. The stopping of visas, sending back all those who had come on SARC visas, sending away their defense attaches, closing the Atari integrated checkpost, etc., etc. So I think here also what you mentioned about Vinay Quatra and Vikram Doraiswamy, I think that is very important. This is a strategy that we have not employed in the past. The Israelis have done it, very often and with very good effect. And I think the Pakistan has so far been taking it brazenly. It has really normalized its support to terrorism. Otherwise, you would see that for the 20 years from 2001 till 2021, when the NATO and ISAF forces were in Afghanistan, Pakistan was supporting the Taliban. That was the terrorist group going and killing Americans and the NATO personnel in Afghanistan. But still, meaning it was business as usual, even as far as after Osama bin Laden was found there. So, it had normalized all of it. But I think now we are taking this forward, and particularly this, Rauf Azhar, who's been killed in Bhavalpur. I think we really need to project that what the Americans were not able to do to get the killer of Daniel Pearl, India has been able to do it. And so I think this is something, whether it is in front of IMF, FATF, this is something that we need to take to international fora and also decision-making entities. Parikshit, if you permit, I'll just like to add one more word, just one more word. And that is, what my fellow panelists have said, it is true, but I don't think good sense is going to come to Pakistan. What will really have an impact is the pressure from its, friends and partners like Saudi Arabia, like UAE, who've always been funding Pakistan whenever it has been under problems, and the United States. Put pressure on it. Only that will succeed. If you believe, if you trust that good sense will prevail, no, I have no hope on that. Parikshit.
Right. We are going to take a short break, but we request all our guests, Lieutenant General Saha, Lieutenant Colonel Mishra, and Ambassador Sajjanhar to stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, you're following our coverage of Operation Sindoor, which is not over. The military operation continues along the LOC and the international border, and we want Pakistan now to come to the negotiating table, de-escalate and punish the perpetrators of the Pahalgam terror attack. Let's now bring back our special guests. Lieutenant General Saha, if I can begin with you now. When we attacked Pakistani terror camps, that was an offensive operation. We have now defended ourselves against escalation. What is going to be the posture of our forces now? And as all our panelists are unanimous in saying that Pakistan is not going to stop here, what is the next phase of these tensions? How would you describe that?
You see, I think India has been very, very transparent in the manner in which we are operating. I would urge that we go back to the press release of the Ministry of Defense at 1:44 a.m. On the night on which Operation Sindoor was launched. We were quite categoric to state that we are attacking terrorist infrastructure. Our response is measured, it is focused, we are non-escalatory. In the same message, we had very categorically stated that we are not attacking military targets. I think the purpose of putting that line was to tell Pakistan that should you choose to retaliate, we will get back at your military targets, because India does not have terrorist camps like Pakistan. So obviously, if Pakistan had to respond, they would be getting back at military targets. And that's exactly what they have done. They have tried to attack a number of air bases. And as the headquarter IDS confirmed last night, the 3 army headquarters at the 3 locations that the IDS release gives out. So quite clearly what they are now, what we should expect now is that more attacks on military installations if India has to. And they have shown what they can by in terms of, suppressing the air defense system which was there in Lahore. What exactly was the target in Rawalpindi? I would not like to conjecture, but suffice to say that Rawalpindi is the GHQ, the General Headquarters of Pakistan, from where the complete power is drawn, if you will, of running all of Pakistan. They claim that whatever fell, it fell on the stadium, and they had to shift the Pakistan Super League match from there to Karachi. And this morning we are hearing that there was some engagement even in Karachi, the financial capital. So I'm not sure where does the PSL go next. Well, that's on a lighter wing.
General Saha, the next question, what I'd like to ask you. Now, there are multiple reports about hundreds of drones being used by Pakistan to attack military bases. Now that this phase of operation has been done, they've tested their drones. We believe that these drones were of Turkish origin, supplied by Turkey and China. They've done missile attacks at about 8 or 9 places. Now that these have been neutralized, when they were not successful in causing any major damage to the Indian military bases, what could Pakistan do next? If they want to escalate the situation, what would they do next?
Well, they have used, from my understanding, and if you see what is available in the open sources, if you see the kind of drones that they have used, they still have reserved the higher order of drones, if you will. And likewise, there is a huge arsenal of missiles which still remain to be used. And of course, the artillery, so to speak, has been used extensively along the line of control, which is yet to be used. So a higher order of drones, a higher order of missiles, and it could be, cruise, ballistic, and a whole range of missiles, if you will, and artillery. And I have not spoken about field formations, armored formations, and so on, because there were some media reports, false, which were circulating yesterday, which the Indian Army headquarters clarified to say that there has been no such movement, and I think people corrected that false rumor which was going around. So there is a whole range which is going up. And equally, if you go back to that message, if India stated very clearly in that release that we have not struck military targets, what was put out over there to say that if you choose to go up the ladder, retaliate, we will hit at your military targets. What we did not state is the next step up the ladder will be your economic targets. And what the ambassador was saying, that given the state of Pakistan, if we choose to strike at their economic targets, I mean, that is the end of Pakistan. I mean, Pakistan will be decimated because, as it is, what is their war waging potential? You know, it is working on borrowed fuel. It is working on borrowed money from the IMF, and we all know that even the fuel which is on which they operate, much of it is smuggled from Iran. So, I mean, this is, as I said earlier also, it
Okay.
is completely delusional for Munir to wage the war the way he's waging.
But the worry is you cannot always trust the Pakistani army. We have to negotiate with the civilian government there. We don't negotiate with the army. They are not the ones in power, but they are the ones who actually control the reins. That is the problem. Let me also get an Ambassador Sajjanhar at this point. Ambassador Sajjanhar, did you feel worried when you heard J.D. Vance's interview to Fox News? He said that the Indo-Pak conflict is none of our business and has nothing to do with America's ability to control the situation. If you were in the MEA today, would that have been a cause for worry?
It did sound a jarring note, I must confess, because number one, J.D. Vance has been here. He was here when the attack took place. He knows that, the Pakistan does support terrorism. There are strongholds of terrorists, and that's what we've done. So, drawing this moral equivalence between the two, between the victim and the perpetrator, I thought that was not at all called for. But then, after that, there has also been the statement from the State Department. Marco Rubio has spoken to External Affairs Minister, and External Affairs Minister has told him, I think, in very categorical terms, in terms of his message on X that he came up with, that they had a discussion, and the United States is engaged. And I don't think any of the countries really wants to see escalation. So, or any of these powers who have some access and some influence as far as Pakistan is concerned, I think they should exercise that influence. And I'm reasonably certain that Pakistan would be quite amenable to that pressure.
Ambassador Sajjanhar?
Yes.
Ambassador Sajjanhar, just wanting you to weigh in on the visit, the unannounced visit of the Minister of State for Saudi Arabia yesterday. The Iranian Foreign Minister was also here, but that was an announced visit, a scheduled visit, which was on the cards for 1 month or 2 months. The Saudi visit, we believe, was directly linked to Indo-Pak tensions. How important is the Saudi visit? Because the minister also met the Prime Minister later on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, that's what I mentioned in my initial remarks also, Parikshit. I'd mentioned Saudi, I'd mentioned Emirati, and I think both of these countries can play a useful role, because I think we have a great deal of understanding, and there is, unlike what Mr. Vance might say, or unlike what Mr. Trump even might say, saying, that this conflict has been going on for centuries. So, there is lack of accurate information as far as the United States is concerned on this subject. I think Saudis and Emiratis, being neighbors here, they understand, and they also understand that Pakistan has been supporting terrorism. They have come into India. They have come, invested in Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir. So I think that visit is very useful, and it's useful for us to give our point of view, although our External Affairs Minister and NSA have been speaking to our friends in West Asia and briefing them about it. But Parikshit, one more point, if you would permit me, I would say, because you in your comments have used the word negotiations, that we need to negotiate with Pakistan. In my view, there is nothing really to negotiate. We don't want to be at the same table as far as Pakistan is concerned. The only thing we want is de-escalation from them, and we have told them we are in a much stronger position, that if you are going to go up the escalation ladder, we are very well prepared to do that. And at the moment, we are exercising escalation dominance. We have told them that we have nothing to talk to them about. except getting the part of Jammu and Kashmir that they are illegally occupying. From 2019, we have said that we are not going to be speaking with them because unless there is an end to cross-border terrorism. So I don't think there is really anything to negotiate with them as such. Meaning, negotiation is something that Pakistan would desperately want
Right.
because it would like us to have a talk on Kashmir, which it wants to, the issue which it wants to internationalize. Parikshit.
Right. Very important points there, sir. Let me also get in Lieutenant Colonel Shubhankar Mishra at this point. Sir, I would like to ask you about how India used its air defense systems. We used our S-400s, we used anti-drone technology, we used Akash missiles, we used the Barak 8. Could you give us a sense of how India has prepared its own Iron Shield, its air defense system, or own Iron Dome, so to say, over the last 10 to 15 years?
Parikshit, it's a joint effort of all three forces, and especially Air Force and Army. Like in 2018, we went into this agreement of buying 5 units of S-400 from Russia. 3 have already been operationalized, 2 we are expecting by next year. And apart from that, we have plethora of other equipment from Israel and primarily Russia. And our own old workhorse like Zu-23 and Tunguska and Shilkas, they are there. So effectively, if you see that it's an amalgamation where the surface-to-air and air-to-air cover is provided by both Army and Air Force, both the services. And yesterday also, it's not that all the targets were engaged only by S-400 because there were Army AD units also in play. The light AD regiments and other units, Akash, have been very effectively utilized, and it's a wonderful product created in-house by DRDO. So, like you said that in last 10 odd years, how we have developed, I'll just bring one point to your notice and to your viewers that when this system was being procured, when this deal was going on, there was too much of resistance. Even almost 3 years back, America has clearly and in open, they said that they are not encouraging us buying it from Russia. And despite that, we went into this for the system and spent around 35,000 crores. I'll just again recollect there were some activists in our country who were very keen on saying that instead of wasting money on AD system, we should open schools, hospitals, and whatnot. They must now realize that only because of this S-17, those schools, hospitals, which are existing beforehand, they are not only operating, but people are going there. And just to bring to parity to the cost, it's the value of Ladli Behan Yojana in Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra, only 2 states for 1 year, is equivalent to 5 S-400 units. So the country needs to decide upon the priorities, whether we want to be secure. And it's a open secret and it's a old saying that क्षमा शोक की उस भुजन को जिसके पास गरल हो उसको क्या जो दीनहीन विनीत और सरल हो. If you don't have power, nobody is going to respect you. If US is respected today, it's only because they have got military might apart from its political and economic. Similarly, Israel is being respected only because of its might. So we have to create not only our...
Lieutenant Colonel Mishra, you've made a very important point that, you have to be powerful. Strength is respected. We need to increase our military budget. We need to get our priority right, looking at our strategic challenges that we face both with China and Pakistan. Let me go across to Lord Rami Ranger, who has been waiting with us. Lord Ranger, you heard the Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri. He briefed us as to how there were more than 200 to 300 drones that Pakistan used on 36 locations in India. They were trying to target civilian areas, military bases as well. All of this being done to gather intelligence, test our air defense systems. So do you worry that Pakistan's designs are far more nefarious than we've seen already? You're on mute, sir.
Yet again, I'm disappointed with the attitude of Pakistani leaders. They never learn from the history, and history has a habit of repeating itself until we learn from it. You know, I feel very disappointed that in 1947, the Indian Muslim got 3 bites of the cherry. They got Bangladesh, they got Pakistan, and equal stake in the democratic and secular country, India. Yet, they had to attack an independent state of Kashmir, which was minding its own business and not upsetting anybody. They came in the name of religion to take over that country, and the people were looted, they were harassed, and they seek help from India. India rescued these people, and they joined hand with India, and hence, that's how India's involvement began in Kashmir. Now, when a country has been attacked, innocent tourists of a country have been attacked, it is normal for the country to react as India has reacted, because it has to show that it has respect for its citizens and it will defend them as long whatever it takes. But if Pakistan was not involved in these atrocities, they were not training the terrorists, the Prime Minister of Pakistan should have picked up a phone, called his counterpart, and expressed his regret and remorse on the tragic death of innocent tourists, defenseless,
Lord
enjoying
Ranger,
their honeymoon, enjoying.
Lord Ranger, the question that I'd also like to ask you, do you think Pakistan now stands exposed? Look at what is happening. You had the Pakistani army attending a funeral of a terrorist with the commander of the Lashkar-e-Toiba over there. That was extremely unfortunate. What kind of a message does that send out? And right now, the Foreign Secretary has also briefed that Pakistani forces attacked a Christian school along the border. 2 children were killed. They also, in their shelling, hit a church and homes in that area. They've damaged a Gurudwara with their shelling. There were 3 Sikhs who were killed there as well. Do you think now Pakistan will be exposed? There will be international pressure on them. Do you think the likes of the UK, the United States, will intervene, put pressure on Pakistan to show accountability on terrorism?
My friend, Parikshit, you should know that time and time Pakistan has been exposed. Where was Osama bin Laden? Who attacked Mumbai? That's what I'm trying to say. They never learn from the history. Everybody knows there are terrorist camps. They train terrorists, they arm terrorists, and yet they deny. Luckily, we caught one of the terrorists in Mumbai attack who spilled the bean. Osama bin, they were denying time and time again. And so therefore, it is a very sad state of affair. They created a country. They're unable to manage it. They've turned that into, instead of developing the future of their citizens, after having 1 million people innocent killed during the partition of India, 15, including my father, 15 million were made refugees, including my family. Yet they do not learn. They should be grateful to what they got from India, and they should set about developing their country rather than training, people which we see on television. They are not doctors, engineers, scientists who are going to enhance the lives of people. They are killers. They are cold-blood killer. And the speech by the General of Pakistan Army, Asim Munir, was totally unacceptable speech where he says we are different. How are you different? Different because you trained a terrorist, an Indian trained scientist? You kill people and we give life to people. What kind of person will give that religiously charged speech when you are the general of the army? In the army, you got different people of different religions.
We've run out of time completely, sir, unfortunately. But it's a pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much for joining us at a time when there is a clear crisis. Thank you for supporting India, supporting our armed forces in such a big way, and our thoughts and prayers with all of those who've lost their lives, the families who've lost their loved ones, and our thoughts and prayers with our soldiers as well who are fighting for us. With that, it's a wrap on this broadcast. More of our coverage on Operation Sindoor continues right here on CNBC TV 18.